All right. Well, theoretically, I'm live on the internet once more. I'm sorry in advance for my absence. I have been moving homes, and it has taken a little bit more out of me than I thought I would. I thought I would have time to take photos and continue to do my creative hobbies and outlets, and that is not the case, frankly. So this is one of the few times that I've gotten to step away to do anything. I'm reasonably clean. I feel accomplished today. I managed to fill out all the paperwork I needed not to get arrested, and to rejoice, I'm hopping on YouTube to to do some streaming, as I've not followed through with my commitment to make at least one video a week. So anyway, apologies. Nothing was left in the tank, but I'm here today. Sword stuff has continued. I have some fun stuff to bramble about if nobody has any questions, and if there are questions, then as always I will divert to those, because I have no really official plans other than to show you some of the swords that I got, to elaborate on them, because I haven't gotten a chance to really take a look at them in great detail. There's one sword from Yes Katana. I can ramble a little bit about the visor swords that I've been playing with. Romance of Men sent me a suit of armor, which is in a box that I have not opened. And yes, I said yes, Katana. My brain is jelly still from moving. I am here, but not all here, if you know what I mean. Yeah, some swords to talk about. So if anyone has questions, feel free and throw them in the chat. Sometimes the chat gets overwhelming, and if I miss it, ask the question again. I'll try. It's nothing personal. I shoot for going for the chat and answering every question, but often fall short of that goal. So anyway, I've got a beer today. It's brought to you not by Pseudo Soup, but it is a fine beer available at my local Costco. And I'm going to sit back, have a brewski, and shoot some shit about swords. All right. Ooh, not wearing glasses, monitor far. Pentonic, hopefully I'm saying it right. Hello. What is your opinion on wooden swords? This is Ian, sorry. I can click these if I remember how to do this. What is your opinion on wooden swords for practice? I think they're a great place to start. They're forgiving-ish when you whack people in the fingers with them, more so than Iaito or steel alternatives are. They give some sort of resistance, and not necessarily the same weight as swords, but they tend to be good swords to practice kata with and to do the initial stuff with. Iaito, depending on how dexterous you are, I've seen people come into martial arts that have really good body control and have worked with weapons before, and in those cases they're pretty familiar with how not to stab themselves. But even Iaito, with some of the kata in various martial arts, can poke you pretty good, or it doesn't have to be Japanese style swordsmanship. Lots of different weapon arts have things where you might pass the tip across your body and move a thing and have potential to poke yourself. And wooden swords tend to be harder to do that with. So I think they're a great place to start. They're good training tools to work various drills with partners. I certainly don't think anything bad about them. I'm invested in it's over there and behind the box that I have staged in case I want to open it. But I use a Kingfisher bokin, and on some rare occasions I also have bokin from SDK, I think they were. And I really like the Kingfisher one. Only recently, after many uses and sitting in my trunk over the winter and over the summer, has it even started to kind of need to be sanded a little bit. And I've had it. I don't know. I made a video on it when I got it, but no regrets about the $100 wooden stick I bought. All right. Hopefully that answered your question. Hopefully all is well. Dakota Wilson, thank you. Caught the very tail end of the initial conversation. Yes, just blabbering about moving and falling short of making content that I try to do. So I'm going to bab now, though. Blabber on now, hopefully. All right. Well, I have a permit to carry in the state that I live in, which happens to be Minnesota. And when you move, if you have a permit to carry, then you need to notify the sheriff's office, or it's a felony misdemeanor. And so when you move, I don't know the legality of technically when that is that when you purchase another house, when you move your belongings from one to the other, when you homestead one home versus the other. I don't necessarily know, but I do know that I could get in some serious doo-doo if I don't get it all sorted. Unfortunately, they work by like appointment only. They're not supposed to, I think, for changes, but I have to update my license first before I do it. And there's laws changing around in my state around using a different type of ID, and I have to get a bunch of documents together, which are, anyway, blah, 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 lazy, things I should have done before. I finally got around to it, and I feel better about it because it's been looming like, hey, I should really get my ass in gear and get this done, or I could have some severe penalties as a result. So I got it done. I feel really good about it, and I don't think I broke any laws, which was the goal. How about thrusting with wooden swords? Well, not to say some of them can't be pointy, but the one that I use isn't, and it's I had in training not too long ago, we were doing a little bunkai, a little application of stuff, a little outside of the kata thing, and somebody zigged when they should have zagged, and the tip of my sword bonked him kind of right in the bridge of the nose. And it's dull, so it left kind of a little skid mark, if you will, but not really a whole lot more. And if it were sharpened, it could have been much worse, even if it were wood. But generally speaking, it allows you to thrust with some minimal amount of force to practice kata without potential to severely maim somebody easily. You can still hurt yourself, though. It just depends on the wooden stick you're using. Thrusting, it depends on what you're doing, but thrusting is dangerous with just about anything. Even like I had these fiberglass hit sticks that I used to use in Eskrima, and when you thrust with them, sometimes the padding wasn't really made to do that at the top, and the fiberglass rod inside might have had a little point to it, and people could get hurt. So thrusting in a lot of cases tends to be more dangerous than swacking, I guess. But I think it's okay depending on what you're trying to do. Obviously, just do it with safety, and if there's a potential for somebody to lose an eye, avoid it. Are you snapping today, Matt? Are you snapping? Snapping. Am I snappy? I might be. I'm deliriously tired, but I don't know if I'm snapping. Yeah. I am here. I'm here, and hello, Joe. Yes, hello, Joe. That's good. Thank you for letting me know. I've got mics in different spots and a different room and different noise to control and different. And it probably looks kind of clean from this direction, but there is just debris everywhere around me. It is reminds me of this like Jordan Peterson lecture of clean your room and how it helps you have some sort of mental sanity. And I feel it because it's been dirty for a while. Things aren't put away. Par for the course when you move, but it's not great for sanity. Yeah, makes me pop. It's smurfing great. Hopefully I will fill it with swords at some point. Better have you rambling than elsewhere for doing no wrong. Yeah, I agree. There's just, I haven't moved in a really long time, and so it's catching up with a ton of stuff, like changing all your subscriptions and credit cards and mortgages and addresses and work and insurances. It's like the list is endless. All while like I'm moving and just not mentally in my best spot, but I'm catching up on stuff. Kyle, hope the movie's going well. It is going well. It's going well. Nobody died, so it's going well. My wife and I just started the process of selling our house and buying a new one, dealing with the tricks of showing the house with very valuable swords is annoying. Yes, I can sympathize. There were a few people. I didn't sell my old house, but I did rent it out, and I didn't have my collection out when I was showing it. And it certainly, the people that took a tour of the home got to see the sword wall and may not have known who I was, and was. It took a few people back, apparently. Now, when I was there to describe it, I like to think that most people understand I'm not a threatening kind of weird, but certainly weird. And yes, it throws people off. There's a certain variety, because like there's no swords anywhere, and then you just see this armory, and you're like, oh, okay. Am I about to get axe murdered? And I'm like, no, sword murdered. No, not at all murdered. Then I'd have to clean it. It's not worth it. It'd rust. No. But yes, throws people off. Also, I have a camera in a box for you, sir. It's gonna go out the door at some point in the near future. Joe got a Z-say. What do you? Well, any spoilers, Joe? What do you got? I'm supposedly gonna have one show up in the not too distant future myself. Looking forward to being able to show what those things look like in some beautiful camera work, which hopefully I'm able to do. And Joe, certainly you can. What? Which one kind? What would you get? The Danimal. Hello, hello. Well, I think I have caught up to chat. I will show a couple of fun things that I got in this box over here, which you can't see because it's off camera. I got this sword, which I have now identified as from Yes Katana. It's a manufacturer that reached out to me and asked if I'd like to review a sword from them. Apparently, there's another one on the way. I thought they were sending it to my new address. They sent it to my old one, and none of the packaging says Yes Katana. And well, as I mentioned, Jelly Brain earlier from moving, I was like, who the hell sent me this sword? It's the second time a vendor has sent me a sword that like didn't send tracking, and their labeling wasn't on the box. And I was like, who sent me this? But the first one was the Art of Iron and Fire. And at least there was a card inside, and they responded a few days later with, yes, we sent you a thing. Please review it. And we had discussed it months earlier, as I did with Yes Katana, but they didn't tell me I was sending it, and I wasn't sure which one I was getting. But anyway, I got this a thing right here, and I haven't really looked it over. It's got little fuzzy things that are getting lost in the carpet, and it has blue and gold, which kind of go with the room here a little bit. And I can make out a hamon, but it looks, I don't know, it reminds me. I don't think this is a terribly expensive katana, which is also worth pointing out. I think it's like $100 and something bucks. The hamon seems to pop out reasonably well, and I haven't taken it apart just yet, but so far I can say I've identified who it's from. And the Ito is, I can already tell, I can push it around under this plastic wrap, which means it's probably going to be looser than I'd like. The hamon is easy to see, and I do kind of like it's got a good amount of zazz. I think, frankly, the appearance of it is got a little bit of classic to it and a little bit of zazz. But I'm just happy I know who it's from now. So I will review that hopefully in the not too distant future, and you will see some more stuff from Yes Katana. Supposedly they're sending me something else. More chat. Have you ever handled a blade forged with meteorite? No. Handled? Maybe. I'm sure I've handled something at like a show or some blade with meteorite. I've gotten to hold a lot of different things, but I don't know. Nothing like comes to mind, and I certainly haven't gotten to do anything special or cool or unique or different with it. People have asked me a few times. There was a gal at my dojo that was a big fan of them space rocks and asked about forging swords with meteorite. And not that I'm a smith or really know much about it, but from what I understand, meteorite smiths can do the most with material they're very familiar with working with, and that's what they can kind of unleash the most potential with, is something that they've tested and validated and worked with, and just kind of know how to get the maximum potential out of a steel. So when you introduce this meteorite substance, it doesn't inherently make anything better, and frankly can make a lot of things worse, albeit with a really cool space rock story behind it. But if you're doing a Japanese style sword, I always thought that using meteorite in the fittings, which can move from one sword to the next, if you make bad cuts and screw up your sword, you can have something resilient and good, and then have fittings that stay with you. And if you ever sell the sword, you can keep the fittings and put them on whatever type of thing you want. So that always seemed to be a better use of meteorite in katana, because I don't think the magic space rocks do anything, cool as they are. But that was a way to incorporate them on your sword. But I haven't used one. Nothing that like stands out in my mind is, oh, this was made of meteorite. I'm sure I have, but not anything, no particular cool experience. Megatron, you give old Scab a kiss for me, would you? I appreciate the well wishes. Family likes the house more than I do, but that's because they don't have to lift all the heavy boxes. No, my wife is doing a fair share of heavy lifting, frankly. I should probably be doing it now. But yes, apart from the resentment that I might be getting from my wife at this moment for not working, everything is going well. And good to hear from you. I hope it's not the same one I have. I have a Toyo and Tachi from Yes. It might be. When Yes Katana reached out to me, I typically, when a vendor reaches out, I'll give them my general list of kind of disclaimers of things and time and rules and just the general gist of how I format, how I take review samples. And then if they're new, sometimes they have a sample in mind, and that's fine. And other times I'll say, here's some things that look fun or different or might do well. And I know they were sending some other Tachi type thing, which I requested because it had a swirly Mitsudome on it, which shouldn't be any terrible surprise. Yes, Megatron, give me all the likes and subs. Hello, sword friends. Armor, yes, Yoda, it's in a box behind me. It's a big, heavy box, not big enough and heavy enough to, I think, contain a suit of armor that's going to fit my my portly appearance as of late, but maybe it's supposedly made for my size, but I'm speculating that might not be the case. Either way, it is in a box supposedly behind me, or I'm going to open it and it is the box of dildos that I ordered, which will be very embarrassing on stream. Good to see Megatron. Thanks for stopping by. Leon, hello. Got to get some Apex in, hopefully. I plan on streaming incidentally for about an hour, and then I'm going to go play video games, and I can do it on Twitch if anyone wants to follow me over there, but I just plan on playing a little video games. I've not had a huge amount of time to geek out. But anyway, I asked because I'm a full-time maker, and I have forged a few blades combining Tamahagane and Meteorite together and used it in a Sanmai over 80 CRV2 core. I mean, that seems good. I would venture a guess that if you took that Meteorite kind of Sanmai cool story space rock samurai sword that you're making, or whatever it happens to be, versus just an 80 CRV2 blade that you might be more familiar with working with and heat treating, I'd hazard a guess that the 80 CRV2 blade just made holistically of that material would likely perform better. I mean, it'd certainly be less cool, but how much that cool factor is worth when it comes to, I don't know. It's certainly not a bad thing. I think they're really awesome. It's more of an art show kind of thing in my mind. And I very often get questions about Meteorite and people thinking that they're better, but it's a common misconception along with like folded blades being superior to mono steel blades, but typically it's just because they're more expensive. So more expensive means better, right? And that's an education point that doesn't ever seem to go away. Not sure if you have heard of copper mai or kumai. That's my specialty. I work with various pattern welded steels and incorporate copper and mokume gane into sanmai as well. That I've seen some, and it's something that I've seen pop up. I don't know if like Instagram is showing me more copper kind of mokume looking knives because I stare at one or something, but I have seen copper integrated a lot more. How does it affect? I always think of copper as like a really soft metal. So if it's integrated and kind of mixed in the steel, isn't that an inherent a weak point? I'm not sure. They sure do look really cool though. Yeah. Hang on, I gotta kill some porn ads here. But yes, I think they look awesome. I've seen a lot of really cool looking integrations of knives with copper in them. I've always liked the kind of copper tone, and it looks pretty zazzy. The Zitse model. I don't know their models well enough to know for sure, but supposedly there's one coming. the folks at Z say, I honestly don't know. I have to clarify with them what they want me to do, because initially they were going to send me something to give private feedback. And it's not, I would say most vendors, when they send a sample, have me share it publicly. But there are a rare few that will send me something and solicit kind of private feedback. And it's a lot less work to do. I still film stuff, but I don't have to get angles. It's not for entertainment. It's really to help them focus and make a better product. And I can be a little bit more succinct in thoughts, because it's, like a thing for one person that I don't share publicly. But the requirement is that they tell me ahead of time which one they want. And last time I checked with Zsay, they were sending me something to not do a public review on. And I just need to clarify with them before it arrives, because there's no backsies. If something goes really well and I love it, if you told me not to share it, then that's kind of, it's not fair to be like, well, share it publicly, but only if you like it, kind of thing. So I do need to verify with them, but I have no idea what they're sending. They did mention that there was one that was damaged, and they'd feel less bad if I were a little bit more abusive toward it. And I welcomed either one. I said, you can send one that's damaged, and I will damage it further if that's of interest to folks. Though I don't know how many people are looking at buying a piece from Zsay, because it seems like the thing that they're really selling is like a higher end polish and finish level, which generally lends itself more to the collector than the practitioner user, zombie apocalypse prepper kind of person. So I'm not sure how many people are interested, but if it's already damaged and I could answer that question for whoever might be wondering, if they're durable, well-made things because of a minor flaw that wouldn't impact, performance, then that'd be great. And I also said, send one that's nice and I don't have to break it either way, or both. We'll find out what's in the box. I don't know. What's bothering me? Pressure. Well, there's a lot of stuff going on, and I don't know that anything is really a problem. It's just a lot of life all at once. At least if that question is directed to me, I assume it is. Moving is more stressful than I thought it would be, along with needing to find new childcare. So kiddo working from home, not taking time off to move, doing some of it myself. The cost of moving and like the projects associated with it. Also, there's like this runway of funds that I had that made me comfortable in case something happened. I felt in a position that I could, sustain my life while I found my footing again. And all of those things change all at once. And so there's a lot of pressure, I suppose, is fair, and stress. But all of it is really, I try to keep in mind that it's all problems I'm very lucky to have. So that doesn't necessarily make it feel better in the moment, but I'm employed, insured, and loved, and I'm getting to buy a different house and figuring out how to rent another one, and moving a collection of swords, and having the means to do the projects, even if I have to supervise them and whatnot, is something I'm very fortunate to be in a position to do. So no, not really anything I would bitch and moan about too much. It's just sometimes it feels like a lot, and that's okay. It's okay to have it feel like a lot. A monosteel blade will always technically perform better than a laminated blade. Any laminated blade. Copper used is thin enough that it takes up a very small amount of the overall blade thickness. Does it cause like lamination problems though? Because you have that kind of weak, even regardless of how thin it is, it wouldn't, technically it could shear in a way that steel, I suppose, wouldn't. I've never tested a copper type knife or blade with copper integrated into it. That said, I don't know if I would get one for the purposes of doing abusive stuff. They're really awesome things though. But if it's small enough and you don't have, I'll take your word for it that you don't have issues with performance. Glad to hear it, Leo. By using a steel core cladding, you're able to maintain strength in the blade. The main point is to use the heat control when forging to avoid melting the copper. I can barely cook an egg. It sounds beyond me, but good on you for doing it. It sure does make cool looking stuff. Hey Matt, do you watch any anime? Really, not really a fan of most anime, but there's a couple that I really like. usually the ones people would consider boring. I remember, I don't know if people consider it anime, but I remember watching Dragon Ball Z many, many moons ago, and I enjoyed it. Um, I watched through the Cell saga, I think. Uh, yeah, yeah. I mean, I enjoyed them stretching out 5 seconds into 10 episodes. I thought I remember those things fondly, but some of the other anime don't. I don't know. I tend to lose track of them, or they don't capture my interest the same way that maybe they would have if I were a younger man. The same is true of a lot of types of entertainment, though. Things that I really used to enjoy, I kind of play for a minute in certain types of video games, and my interests have shifted around. I tend to like gory, adult, violent stuff, though. I don't know if Invincible would have been considered anime, or the Boys animated one that was on Amazon, but I thought they were cartoons for adults, and I thought they were pretty cool. Trying to think of what other anime that I've watched. A friend of mine told me about Evangelion. I think that's how you say it. And he's like, it's so good. It's so good. And then I watched all of it, waiting for it to be so good. And I was like, I didn't really like it. It wasn't bad, but it got a lot of hype. That might be the other problem that I've had with anime, is every time that somebody has recommended one, they've come with really strong emotional ties and recommendations, and it's been a meaningful thing in this person's life, and they want to share it with me, and then I just don't have the same tie to it, or I'm expecting more. But in general, I would say it's not that it's a medium I'd shy away from, but I can't say I find it as entertaining perhaps as I once would or did. My mic is got the opposite of an erection. It's very slowly falling down. So if my sound changes, I apologize. Hopefully it's still picking up. It's gradually slumping. Where was I? Danny. Yes, I saw your photo. That's the first fan art. Danny sent me the first drawing of, or caricature of myself, and more handsome than I am in person. So thank you for that. My shoulders look much less fat. So I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to seeing the finished result if you do, and I'll post it and share it and all that kind of stuff. But I thought it was pretty cool. And if Danny Vision, if you have an Instagram or something and you want to see a better looking version of me, you should check out Danny Vision's Instagram. Z-Say wants a full-blown review, man. For sure is. As for brain failure, I don't know. Clarify, I'm going with what they told me. Yeah, I saw Carl's, and it looked pretty good. I'm very much looking forward to looking at the swords and seeing how they contrasted the photos that I've seen, because they look like they bring out a lot of character in the steel that you just don't see in other swords, and I think it's going to be cool. And Joe, I think you have a knack for cameras yourself, so you'll probably be able to bring that character out yourself. Dakota, I'm on Instagram. I've interacted with your profile, so it's likely you've come across my work. Then that might be where I'm seeing it, because I've stared at a few things on Instagram that had copper patterns and knives, and it wouldn't surprise me if it was your work. I'm not great at remembering names and stuff with photos that I see, particularly on Instagram, though. So if I don't remember it, I apologize. All right, I'm gonna have to. My setup is going to require a little bit of finagling. Hang on, gotta change the camera setup here so get a great view of my armpits. Anyway, where are we at? Yeah, that could creep up. It's hard to move without 600. There's not 600. There's maybe 200. I think less than that, though. If I count the broken ones, I did bring all the broken ones too, so maybe it's around there if I throw in all the broken pieces. Moving is stressful and something I dread doing. This move we're doing is either our last or second to last, depending on if we decide to move from California after I retire. I didn't know that you lived in California. I think you sent me your address to send me the camera, but for some reason, jelly brain. Yeah, I've heard that there's a little bit of an exodus happening from Cali. I couldn't blame you though. A lot of people have moved for taxes or just overseas in general to expat somewhere. But yes, moving is stressful. I am also a bit of a pack rat though, so I brought it on myself. Most people that move have told me they go through their stuff and give a bunch of it away and don't move all their crap, and it's a way to exhale things you don't need. I don't do that, and it's stressful for me to get rid of anything. And so I told my wife, like, hey, we can have conversations once we've moved about what to throw away, but like I can't deal with the stress of moving and like which things I want to throw away at the same time. It's going to be too much. So I'm sure we're going to be going through things and tossing stuff. But now I've moved almost all of it. Incidentally, the things that I thought were the funniest to move were I had some old lumber from building my deck, and I had gone out of my way to find 16-foot 6x6s. They were tough to find, but that was the length that I needed, and I ended up with a few extra. And they're treated in a pretty high intensity, so they're good to like lay in water and stuff like that. And I kept them. I'm glad I did, because the new home that I have could use a little reinforcing here and there around the deck in particular. But moving them by myself was something. That was a different thing. They say, well, like I keep the adage of like the number one cause of injury for old men is them thinking they're young men. Like that kept being what was going through my mind as I was moving these freaking timbers around. But anyway, yeah, my neighbors have seen me do weirder things. The friend I messaged about you is maybe looking at a Munetoshi Ronin, but I've recommended him to try and find local people to test to feel some. What forms are good to find people in Canada? You can try sort of Buyer's Guide. I know they have people all over the place. I'm not sure though. You can try Craigslist. There might be Facebook groups or something like that to find fellow sword collectors around the area, but I think that's where I'd look. I'm very lucky to have found folks, a few different groups in the area that I live in to be a part of. But I ask around, show up to classes, see if that's an option anyway. I would love to make a note for you to testing. Let's talk on Instagram when you get time. I'll get something in your hands. Happy to do that. It would pain me to break something pretty, but I totally will. The copper mokume stuff. It'd be kind of fun to see if it has any impact. Though I haven't broken, I suppose, many knives, so I have less experience doing it. But I could get something. You might like shiguri. What's shiguri? I'm gonna have to Google that now. Let's see if I can find it. Get on the Instagram. I'm on this thingy thing. What's it called? StreamYard, so I can share screens and stuff. See if I can find it. I'm not prepared though. Well, actually, I don't. Danny, I don't know if you posted it to your Instagram. I should check and see what you made public. I should not do that because you sent me something in private. Just dawned on me that would be a dick move. So, Danny, if you're still around and with your permission, I will go and show the DM. But I have to get his approval first. That was sent in private, and I can't blame an artist for wanting to keep it until it's done if that's the case. All I don't know if you posted. I don't see it on your Instagram. I'm looking right now, but I can share my screen. Maybe can't I? Like how I just trail off. I will share my other screen. Share screen. There we go. This is Danny's Instagram. I don't see the beautiful picture of me on there, Danny, but it may eventually be posted there, and you should check out his Instagram, and that's what it looks like. Well, bam. All right. Samurai Jack style, but like just with a further receding hairline and a little bit of a beer belly. That'd be great. I live on SoCal on the border of the desert. We're finally moving into the desert so we can have more property and less neighbors. I've heard that's fun. I am a neighbor to a highway now. It's less ideal than, but it's okay. I wish you luck with the no neighbors. Do you have like horses or something you want to do with the extra land, or is it just the privacy? You guys can go be desert ninjas. What part of the world did you move to? I moved just to a different part of the same county. I'm in the same county that I was in. I moved to I live in a city called Minnetonka, which you may recognize from the Chappelle Show, where he did the Prince impression, jump into the cooling waters of Lake Minnetonka. I live in that city, and not by Lake Minnetonka though, because that is very expensive to live near. But the city in general is a little nuts to live in, honestly. But anyway, yes, I moved from my old place, which I loved, and it's bittersweet. I really loved the house that I was in. It was a fantastic place that me and my wife raised our family in, and worked on every corner of it, really made it our own. And we really liked where we lived, the neighborhood, the neighbors. It was really a wonderful place. And so leaving it is I have mixed feelings about it, but the move was a good one. So that is, well, I mean, it makes sense on paper, and it's okay to have the feelings, right? So anyway, Danny has given permission. So since with his consent, I will show the photo. This is the last one, I think, Danny, that you sent me. I like that you've made my hairline prettier. I appreciate that. I look more chiseled, but equally stout. This is a very fine artist interpretation. I see we've got a little Anathar going on as well, or at least Anathar-esque. It's very good. You're a talented artist, Danny. It's surprising too. I'll admit I don't get fan art, and I mean I'm fine with it. It's very kind that someone would draw me and share it. So I appreciate it. Unsolicited fan art is a cool thing. I think you did a really great job. I think I can't remember what I said, but I was like, it looks very flattering unless you're gonna draw me holding up my shirt with a giant man titty hanging out or something like that. But anyway, good job. I'm looking forward to the final result. Even if there is, frankly, a man titty hanging out there, I still like enough of what's going on in the top half. One day you should order the absolute dumbest product you can find online and make a very serious review out of it. I thought of for April Fools, if it weren't for the run-on series of Anathar, that I would do a very, very serious review of a spatula, because I have a spatula that I really, really love, and I've broken several other spatulas in pursuit of getting this one spatula, which was my grandmother's, and I inherited after she passed, and I could never find another spatula just like it. So I was going to do a very serious and sincere review about spatulas, but it's just never quite materialized. I don't know if that's the dumbest. I don't know if that's the dumbest thing out there. That does have some meaning behind it. I don't know what the dumbest thing would be though. Yeah, there was this thing I got through. I can't remember exactly how I got it, but it was like supposed to like a meditation device. I think it's called Muse, and it's like this brain scanner, and it plays like rain really loud when you suck at meditating. And it just makes me have to pee. I guess I'll say that. So that might be a funny thing to review. I don't know. There's a few opportunities, but I'm so far behind on actually making content that might be useful that I'm not sure I'm going to get to the entertainment side of it. Like there's so many swords that I have to review. I've only showed one, and I have I have at least a few more in a suit of armor to get through, and I don't know if I'm going to do that. But anyway, Danny's going to post it. I'm glad to hear it. Privacy and quiet mostly. Our current house, we're right up on top of our neighbors, and there are at least a few people who do not appreciate sword use. Yeah, I got pretty lucky with my neighbors in that they didn't say anything. They seem to think it's cool, but I suppose, that'd be a bummer if your neighbors like were sending you negative vibes and it didn't make you feel good about doing it. Which incidentally, you should feel good about doing. I find your content very enjoyable. And for anyone that is unaware, AlienTude, Kyle over here does some pretty cool sword videos himself, and you should check him out. That Z Sakura at half price looks really impressive. The Hamon is striking. I'm looking forward. I'll admit, I think it's going to be cool. I like the polish that they put on swords. I don't know if that is the market or how many people appreciate that, though. I suppose would be the thing. Like I look at a company like Motohara, and they make things that seem to make a lot of sense for the North American market, right? And that people or collectors that want something that's the best, like really well fit and put together, and kind of equivalent to what you would get from sending out a blade and getting custom work done. But like that kind of finish level, you tend to get that from Motohara. You pay for it, and the blades, well, they look kind of tool-esque in application. They're very effective cutters at what they do. They can make pretty thick stuff, and they use kind of modern tool steels that have some kind of, I don't know, there's some science, but also some aura and cool sword mystery about them, and that seems to resonate with people in the U.S. The Zisei stuff, the fit and finish on them from the photos that I've seen doesn't seem to be quite at the same level as, but granted, Motohara blades are more expensive. But the polish level really brings out a lot of cool characteristics in the steel, and if that's what you're looking for, then it's cool that there are options out there to do it. I don't know how many people collect based on that, but hopefully there's enough of them, because I really like to see pretty steel stuff, and I wish them success. And I'm also excited to check it out. I prefer the mountains. Currently live in the valley, so very close drive, like 15 minutes to get to the Sierras. I do kind of miss Minnesota has rolling hills. I know you're talking to AlienTude, but I like mountains myself. The hiking in California, being able to like see something in the distance is actually just kind of fun. You don't see much other than like the closest tree in Minnesota. All right. Anthar. That's right. That's a younger man version of you giving up those timbers thinking I got this. Yeah, Danny, you could draw the other shoulder holding a timber over the shoulder, walking around, though. A man boob would probably be funny. You could do both. You can really go either way. How far behind am I, Chad? I wish I could draw. I do too. But, we all have talents. And I imagine that it's not just I don't know. There's I'm sure an element of like natural skill that goes into it, but there's a lot of work and energy and time spent to get your skill level up. Just I suppose like anything else. So I wouldn't be so keen on wishing for it, because that would come with a whole lot of work. Yes, good job, Danny. I did another Anathar drawing. If Chris is in here, hopefully we have the next iteration with the shards of Anathar that for some reason sound like meatwad. You just moved, Robert? Good to hear from you too. Yeah, well, congratulations, and I'm sorry. It seems to be what goes on with the move. You know, I've before I answer, before I moved, it's been so long, and when I moved into my previous house, I had like 2 pickup truck trailer loads worth of just the back of a pickup truck worth of stuff. I didn't have much when I moved into my current home, and that was not the case this time. 15 years has given me an abundance of things to move. And just over time, people have said like, "Oh, I'm moving," and it just didn't dawn on me how hard that was. And people always describe it like surviving, like it's like a major surgery that you lived through and weren't quite sure. But they give you these like, "Oh, that's one of the hardest things you do." And I never quite got it. I was like, I don't know, like I didn't have these memories of moving being so killer. But this one was very taxing, and continues to be. It continues to be taxing. But yeah, I appreciate it a little bit more now. Does anyone here remember the spatula? I do. Spatula City. Buy 10, get 2 free, or I can't remember what it was, but oh my goodness, more pornography. I wonder why so much of that comes through. It's not. There's 23 people. I wonder how successful the porn bot spammers are. If a lot of people are like, "What? Naked girls? I haven't been able to find those on the internet. Let me check that out." I'm like, what? how well does the marketing even work? I have to imagine it's energy to like create accounts and not get blocked all the time. I can't imagine the payoff's very strong. Anyway, if you suck at meditating, you ought to get a professionally made organite. But I don't think you found. No, I don't know if I'm doing it right personally. I don't. But I have reasonable luck falling asleep, and I don't seem to. I don't know. Haven't felt like I'm at a loss for not being good at it. I guess would maybe be the best thing to say. But yeah, it's tough for me to stop. At least Muse tells me I'm shitty at not thinking about things. So no terrible surprise. I was hoping that I could do it just to like rub it in my wife's face and be like, "Why can't you just make the rain stop?" But I couldn't do it, and I was like, "Why do I have to pee so bad?" Was instead the outcome. I don't know what African chilads. I'm not sure what those are, but I will have to look it up. All right. Well, since I've caught up to chat, I can show the other swords that I got. The Rick Barrett ones. This one, unfortunately, they got damaged in shipping, but they're still pretty cool. So here is a 1075 Rick Barrett blade. It's done up in Handachi style fittings. It has an Ishime style lacquer to it, and these Handachi fittings are kind of a pain in the butt to do, to slide them up and get them in position without scratching everything all to hell. And a nice Sageo and metal fittings. I don't know who made these. They kind of look like Hyper Cafe, or maybe I don't know. But this is one of Rick's earlier pieces, and I don't have Do I have towels around? No. I've got a Kleenex. I'm 100% prepared to show stuff. But it's so pretty. Let's see if I can get it to show up well. No, stop focusing on my dumb face. Focus on the important things. Yes. Yes, very pretty. You can kind of see some stuff moving along here, hopefully. Anyway, this one got a bunch of Saya rub on the other side. So I'll refrain from showing you that because it would probably like my finger. But this side is reasonably clean. And it's an older one. I can't remember how old the sword is here, but this is a new one. This side, the opposite side, got some scuffing on it, which is tough to see, but I don't know if the customs guys were swinging it around or if it was just Saya rub from chipping. But unfortunately, that happened. However, it's very pretty, and I am nonetheless happy with it. And yeah, there we go. I like the Hondachi style fittings too. So this, I don't know if I could somehow find a way to put Mitsudomes on it. Since it's already dinged up, I might end up using it or hanging on to it just because it's about my size at a little over 29 inches. And it's already screwed up. So I have not, I mean, it's possible to mar the polish and screw it up more, but at the same time, I may be, well, either way, I'm kind of in for a polish, basically. With the damage that it has, even though it's not the end of the world, it's not as though the blade is chipped or cracked or anything, and it would still be require $1,000 or so to get polished. And so might as well whack a few things with it. I'll show you the other one in just a second. I'll catch up with Chad again. Yes, new location is not, actually it's closer to the two places that I trained by about 10 minutes. So it's not, it certainly doesn't do it. And it offers, I think, better training. I don't have the same big like patio area to work, but there's a few spots that are convenient to do kata and whatnot and practice at home. Yeah. It's also, the new spot I'm in has a spot where I can shut the door. My little son is a little bit more curious about swords and a little less obedient than my daughter was. So people always ask me like, hey, how do you keep your daughter from being, stupid and yada, yada. And it's like, well, I think it's more about her demeanor than my parenting. And that's becoming very true because my son is the beneficiary of very experienced parents who are older and more patient, yet at the same time, he is way more of a suicide machine and gives zero shits about being told no. So I like that this house has kind of a spot where I can shut the swords in and keep them away from little hands. But yes, I can still train. Short answer. That's because maybe you're trying to do it the way the others do it. There are many ways and reasons to meditate. I'll send you a link later about Organite for meditation. Okay. Organite's not a weird sex thing, is it? Either way, send me the link. I like the Segeo, that scuff. I like the stuff that's different on each face too. Yeah, I like the Segeo on this one too. The shipping damage was a bummer. It also, it's not the person's fault who sent it my way. They were in good shape and packed reasonably well. But when I got them, the other sword too, both swords had some damage. So this one, I think, really had the debatably more expensive stuff, and that the polish got diminished in such a way that it doesn't like buff out and kind of, it has enough Saya rub kind of stuff on it that it looks like it's going to need a polish. And I confirmed with Josiah that it would probably take that. So, yeah, it's got a nice pattern with it. The lights don't do it a lot of favors here. I might be able to get a better setup in the future where you'd be able to see it more. But anyway, it's pretty bummer that they got screwed up in shipping. Also, customs lost it for a month. So I bought it. There's some seller sent it to me. It's a long story, but the basic gist is that customs held it for a really long time and we thought it was lost. And then all of a sudden it just showed up, and they are supposed to require a signature on it because they're pretty expensive swords. And they just flopped it like on the driveway in the rain, like no regard for what was in it. Anyway, I wish you good evening. Looking forward to new sword reviews in the new place. Have a good night. Have a good night, Joe. And thank you for hopping on. Diamonds are a little squished. I gotta look at it again. Maybe. I didn't think they looked too bad. I think over the Miyuki, maybe. I suppose they wander just a little bit. Over the Miyuki here, they get a little tight. And then towards the bottom, they thin out a little bit here. But over the Miyuki especially. Shape-wise, it's pretty good, and it's a little more slender, and I wonder if that's why these fittings look like they are almost too small for the Nakago. Rick doesn't make small blades, so I wonder if these fittings were kind of a challenge in general to fit on. I happen to like it, though. It makes a little bit more of a slender handle. It feels pretty solid in the hand. I can open up the next one, even though I'm not caught up with chat, but just because I want to look at it. For lack of a bag, I put it in one from a Citadel. So this one is the Zazir of them. And unfortunately, the Kurigata just broke off. It doesn't look like it broke off in such a way that it can't be glued. But that did happen. So this will have to be resecured. It's also tough to see, but the saya cracked along the seam here in the front. So I can make it out in the lacquer, and depending on how much that bothers you, that's a thing that also happens. So the lacquer is diminished here. And this is also in a kind of a stone pattern. It's a little different, a little looser, a little more erratic, but agreeable. And then there's these silver kind of aged fittings on it in the Handachi style. I happen to like the tip on it. It's pretty cool looking. Josiah Boomershine made these fittings, and I believe did the saya work. I'm not sure if he did the wrap or not, but he made the fittings and all that. And I believe he aged the silver or patinated it in some way. And unfortunately, it got damaged, not from Josiah, but from the and not frankly from the previous seller who sent it to me. Again, they were packed pretty well, and I think it's whatever customs did for a month, it didn't result in them arriving unscathed. This one, though, is a Rick Barrett blade that is folded. I don't know how well this is going to come through, but we'll see if I can get it to. You almost can't even see that it's folded in this light. No, focus on me. Hey. There we go. Anyway, it's pretty. Yeah, can't really make out any of the folding in the light, but I'll do some better photos later. Again, thin handle feels really good. I like that these are just a little smaller than I tend to get, and I can't even put them away correctly here without bopping them into a monitor. Unfortunate, the damage, I guess, fortunately isn't on the blade in this one. It arrived unscathed, but the fittings took some poundings. The saya has a crack, and the Kurigata came off, and them's the breaks of shipping. The seller worked with me on the damage, so I didn't just have to eat it, which was good. So I guess I'm happy with what I'm into them at. They're still really cool swords, but was hoping for pristine. And I'm sure the seller was hoping that that they arrived that way too. All right, where was I? Go watch it now. Rare to see a Rick Barrett in action. It is. You don't get to see his stuff moving around very much anymore. Carl, so the way to repair the one sword needs a polish, basically. So probably doesn't have to get taken down to like the most gritty stones, but the Psy rub isn't something that can be buffed out or really come out easily. So basically some element of repolishing the blade, effectively like $1,000 is what has to happen in order to get those scuffs out and make it look new and pristine again. At least I'm guessing, I'm ballparking what Josiah would charge to do just the polish on the blade. And since it's a mono steel blade and probably doesn't need a lot of like finger stone work, you know, polishing and then etching would be it. And I'm guessing that those scratches are going to be about $1,000, or at least that's a rough quote that I got. The other pieces, I mean, depending on how problematic you know how much you want to be a stickler about, the scabbard has the Kurigata came out, so you know you can put some crazy glue on it. I'm all thumbs around it, so to do it right, it might bubble out, it might not look as good, but it would be on there. And maybe you could just overlook or take some Sharpie along the crack and not notice it. But that sword would be like 10 grand to have Rick make if he would make you one. So on a sword like that, I think Sharpie and crazy glue is maybe not what I would go for, right? So if I sent it back to Josiah, what he would have to do, because I believe he did the mount on it, or the Man in Black, if I could find a spot in his queue, is they would either re-lacquer over it, because it's got all those fittings on it, like it might have to be stripped and then repainted and re-put together. And how much that would be, I'm not sure. But kind of that erratic Ishime lacquer is you know, it's expensive to repaint and strip. So it could be as you know, as cheap if you can overlook it. But if you want it to be, you know, mint again, then I imagine that's wouldn't surprise me if it was $1,000 too. So. But I'm not sure. I would, I think, be happy if it were just painted over and didn't see the crack. And I think there'd be a way to kind of secure it. It doesn't feel like the scabbard's going to come apart. Yeah. So, but anyway, I digress. Them's the breaks. Is there any way to repair a slightly bent blade? Yeah, people do it. There's tutorials online. What I see and what I've seen work the best, not that I whack it on a tree the opposite way until it looks straight, but that's only quasi straight. To fine tune it a little bit, people take kind of sticks with, you know, longer sticks with cutouts that allow them to get tension and leverage on the sword, and then they can kind of bend and twist it straight. And that's what I've seen have luck in the past is those kind of straightening tools. It'd be cool to make a Zen garden sword swinging area in your backyard for fun. Well, there's some woody area in my backyard. I'll have to find a fun spot, but there's at least some more foliage that needs trimming in my current spot. So I'm sure that won't last much longer than a season, but I don't quite have Zen garden space. Just seen on your on Matt. Ramble about the movie. I'm glad you're ramble about the move. Glad you're in a new house, and I hope making it a new home gets easier from here. I hope so sincerely too. Thank you for the kind words. Hopefully it will be easier. Putting stuff away hopefully is easier than physically moving it. We're just I think just tired. That's it. I put the initial sketch back up on my Instagram, and then I sent you another one that I did before. I don't think I've sent yet. Well, thanks, Danny. I'll check it out in a bit. Organite is not a sex thing. Enhancing meditations and similar things. But after sex meditation is something I highly recommend, as well as proper tantra. Why are Kurigatas not inserted with dovetail fittings. Sometimes they are. Not very often, but sometimes they slide in. This one doesn't appear to be, or if it is, it's not a particularly strong one. And it can also be, I imagine, part of the fittings, whether or not it fits and leaves enough room to really accommodate it. Little attachments are always coming off. I do love all the fittings. It would be nice if with the silver, nice with silver Same Saya at the top. Yeah. This one has like a little silver Koiguchi on it, but a little more aggressive metal on there. A little heavy metal sword. I could dig it. Links synced on Facebook. Let me know what you think. I'm sure you'll have questions because it's a very, yes, you're walking me down the path of tantric sex or something like that. I'm sure my wife will thank you. Well, anyway, what else do I have? I've caught up with chat. I can now figure out what's in this box behind me. I'm not sure how well this will work. That's as zoomed out as it gets. And I've got my my trusty unboxing knife, which is up here. I totally know where it is. And I can finally open this box of armor and look at it, which is behind me. You'll have to believe me. Not just opening a moving box. It can be very anticlimactic if it is a box full of those. Just a note that says, haha, fooled you. Leon, if you had moved to Australia, I could fix you up with all the... I could fix all that without crazy postage costs. If only. I don't think I do well in Australia, though. It seems hot. It seems very toasty there. Okay, well. Okay. Well, I guess I'm opening it upside down. It doesn't go back in. Okay. Well, I did open it with the end that said this end. So. Okay. Well, here's the bottom of a box. It says Iron Mountain Armory, even though this came from Romance of Men. So this is supposed to be one of the sets on Romance of Men. SamuraiArmor.com. Iron Mountain Armory sounds familiar, but I don't think it's the same one that I'm thinking of. And I'm not talking into the camera, so nobody can probably hear what I'm saying, at least not well. What's in the box? So many UHF references. Well, we're opening this box ass first. It looks like there is a stand involved in this because this appears to be a stand of some sort. So that's good. We'll have to figure out how it goes together. Seems to arrive mostly unscathed, but some presumably armor holdy stand. Okay. The secret is open it up the right direction. More entertaining if you could actually see what I'm doing, but you can't. So, Okay, unboxing knife is required again. Let me see if I can prop this up on the. I'm guessing this is the gilder. No, this is the helmet. It's got some baller horns on it. Not sure how well I am coming through over the sound of crinkling plastic. If we can manage to take this off without cutting into the helmet. Hey. Does that make you horny or what? Look at that. Hopefully, oh, this looks like it's not supposed to come attached. Well, bam. If only there were a swirly Mitsudome in there, it'd be even better. Ugh. I don't know. What do you think? I could probably use some adjustment. It's going to be great. Such a lovely thick mustache. This packing material will go great with the other packing material I've been collecting. There we go. Okay. It's got a nice thick cord here. There's a little bit of padding here. Seems to grab my head. I feel the heft of the armor on my head, but it's not so bad. And this, I don't know if it survived shipping so well. I see two little pegs on it. I'm not sure how I tighten it up, but one of the horns is not as sturdy as the other. I don't fortunately see anything scratched or bent, apart from one of the horns maybe not being as tight. Maybe there's a bolt or something I can tighten in on here. Seems to have arrived well. Well, bam. Okay. See where we're at in chat. I finally caught a stream. Fantastic. Thanks for the ice on the bent blade. I like the katana, and I would like to see if it could be fixed. Still quite functional. Hopefully I have some good luck. There's some tutorials out there. No, a specific one isn't coming to mind, but anyway. I mean, Matt with helmet, yes. Depends on which helmet you put me in, Danny. Suburban Shogun. There we go. Better than cosplay homemade version. It is. I like, so when Romance of Men was asking me like if there was anything on their site they wanted to review, they had armor. And I was like, well, I'd be happy to check out armor. It's not really the focus of my channel, but one of the martial arts I study is Katori Shinto Ryu. I'm prohibited from doing it on camera, but part of how you're supposed to move is with this stuff on, and I can at least, try to do a barrel roll in it or something cool. Not sure how well it's going to hold up, and they do market this as primarily for display, rather than as 100% functional. So I'm not sure how well it's going to hold up to sword strikes, because I don't know if it's like heat treated steel or anything like that. But this was an investment for them to send, because I think these things are a couple grand or something like that. So anyway, I'm very grateful that they sent it my way, and if nothing else, it's pretty fucking cool looking. I like the red horny stuff is pretty kind of badass demon looking. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty cool looking. All right, should probably be taking photos, but inside here I've I thought I opened it the correct direction, but I seem to have opened it ass up. It hasn't been so bad though. What you might be able to see is this pile of garbage around here in my pajama pants, and the leg guards, I can't remember what they're called, they're folding out, and I can kind of take it out of the box from there. Anyway, there's your behind the scenes footage. Here's the belt. In contrast, my Hanwei armor had a much thicker belt, which doesn't stay tied particularly well. This feels like it might actually stay tied. But yes, I have another red set of armor as well, and these are pillows in case your armor gets lonely. Not sure what these are for. Packing, maybe to fill out the arms when you have it on display or something. Here's another pillow, soft and supple. Keep your armor warm when you're not wearing it. Okay. I missed that. What's prohibited on camera? So I study. I can say that I study, or I'm in Katori Shinto Ryu, or Tenshin Shoden Katori Shinto Ryu, which is a style of Japanese kenjutsu amongst other things that they teach you. They teach you sojutsu and bojutsu and naginata jutsu and lots of different types of weapons, but they're a little bit more private about it. So like Rama Ryu, or that school that I study, they say, yeah, if you want to do the kata on camera, if you don't advertise yourself as a teacher, be honest about it. But like if I want to do that kata on camera from Toyama, I'm not prohibited by the organization that I'm a part of. But with Katori, I don't get to show or teach or do any of that kind of stuff. And they're kind of touchy about what you do on camera. If you're a teacher and you have your certificate to teach or something like that, then the rules are a little different, but I don't have any of that. So I'm prohibited from doing Katori on camera, which is why you haven't seen me. I don't know, you might see some influence from it. That's probably not going to be avoidable, but you don't see me like do kata from that particular school, even though that's the one I've been involved in the longest. Anyway, shin guards. They've got some, it just appears to be cloth glued to the back, but it doesn't seem loose anywhere. It will protect my delicate calves. Seems pretty sturdy. I'm not sure if this is more or less than the Hanwei one. I have larger kind of guards, shin guards like this on the Hanwei piece as well. And they feel pretty similar. Not that that's, both of them are reproductions, but I think the Hanwei piece is sold as functional. All right. Have you seen or heard of a company called the company Universal Blades? If so, what do you think of them? I want to say I've heard them. I think I looked at, weren't there like a lot of military sabers and stuff like that? I want to say that I've heard about them and looked at them recently, but jelly brain for moving, my friend. I'm going to give myself that out quite a bit. Haven't had any anyway of Universal Blades to tell you much about. Those pillars are used to keep your door open when it's windy. Samurai door opening pillows. Nice. What's that? No, Bert, it's not made of S7. I think it's made out of mild steel. But the best armor for a zombie apocalypse can only be S7, if Joe asks me. I don't know if that would be the best armor to. The best sword steel isn't necessarily the best armor steel. I don't armor enough to know much. Okay, what do we got here? Okay, we got the little. I believe these guys go on your shoulders. And I think I have it on the wrong one because I'm pretty sure this goes in the back. I don't armor a lot, but you'll see me wearing this in the not too distant future. And I think it goes this way because I'm pretty sure these tie around a little doodad in the back. Hopefully there's an instruction booklet in there. So something that's nice is on the back, there are little covers on the rivets. So they're little leather bits. All of it seems pretty well painted and not scratched or screwed up. Looks like it, I mean, if it seems reasonably functional, hopefully it's about the right size. Carl, I wish I could tell you. I don't know for sure, but I believe it's mild steel, and I don't think it's tempered. When the folks at Romance and Men were talking to me about it, they said like you can use it, but it's more for display than for use. So I don't think it's tempered or sold as like an exact reproduction for use. As maybe just a little bit more like a nice looking decoration that you technically can wear. And interestingly enough, they did like ask me for measurements and stuff when I ordered it. So these theoretically should fit me. I could have measured wrong, or they could have. I guess I don't know. This looks like it might actually fit though, because on the Hanway piece that I have, these definitely do not fit. And it's very funny when I put it on, how like you probably, I think I did it on the what the hell is it? The Jakku Sanmai Katana review. I wore a Hanwei suit of armor, and like I wore it because I was breaking it, and previously swords had flown back at me, and I thought it would be prudent to put it on. It was very hot to wear. This though is, well, it doesn't exactly quite fit my giant sausage hands, but it's an approximation. It's not so bad. Comes up to my shoulder anyway, so maybe it will actually fit. I'm bulging out at the seams though a little bit. And looking like some of the lacquer on the chain here, which is butted and not riveted. Some of the paint on it is kind of coming loose from it, kind of bumping into itself. But on any of the plates, all of the paint or lacquer, I'm not sure which it is right now, appears pretty well done. Like I don't see it bubbling or that it's left any giant scratches. I don't see any tears in the silk. The silk feels pretty good. It's lined nicely. I don't know how long this is gonna last, or really how much I'll use it, but I like the color scheme too. The red on black is pretty badassness. The folks at Romance of Men also said it's red is a lucky color for new ventures, and that this is the first set of armor, and maybe red would be a good one to start with, which is more Chinese than Japanese from my understanding, but still not something I knew, and I appreciated the insight. Some of the details on here, I don't know on Japanese armor like this, how well these come through, but I think some of the metal work that I've seen won't quite look like a stamp, and I don't think it would necessarily just look like kind of glued over. So how historically accurate it is, there's some license taken here certainly, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Overall, I am happy that they seem to be made for gangly dude arms, because this other set that I have, which is kind of generic and made for one size fits all, I think comes up to about here, and then the hand guards are coming down my wrist. So this is actually made to fit somebody closer to my size, and I'm getting stuck on it. I'm not putting it on all the way. It'll have to be a future video where I actually wear the thing and try to do a barrel roll on the pavement. What else is in here? More wind pillows. Needs to be a Tessin and S7 in the OB2. We'll see. Um, there's a little bit of an inside joke here. For those of you that don't know, I was on Joe's Blade Talk, and Scab had asked me a question. And as is tradition for me, I droned on for about 45 minutes answering the question. And then immediately after I was done, Joe asked me the same question I had just answered. And me and Scab were kind of looking at him. And it has lived in infamy. Now S7 is a running joke between Joe and all who are part of the conversation. If you haven't seen it, you might be able to find the old episode on Blade Talk, and you can join in the joke. I just discovered a new guy, Case Knives, doing Vanex Super Clean with 1 micron or so carbides, and they're crazy near HRC 70 HRC. That's nanners. The knife stuff I don't enough knives. I like knives, but I don't smash them around as much as swords. What I find a lot about the sword specs, though, is a lot of people are metallurgy geeks and know a lot more about it, and I tend to whack it and then say if it whacked good or not. And I don't necessarily find that the technical specs of what a steel is capable of is what ends up happening. There's certainly been times where I've had like a 1060 sword or a 1045 sword that's exceeded my expectations in terms of what it, on paper should have been capable of, and times that I've had more modern or more interesting steels that haven't really lived up to the lauded reputation that the steel holds. And sometimes there's been questions about like, well, was this steel actually that steel? And I don't have anything to go back on other than I whacked it into a metal pole, and it took a lot of licks to get to the center of the Tootsie Pop. So I'm kind of curious if there's something unique or cool or special about the steel. Like, does it hold up when you do knife related things with it? Red often represents foundation or beginning of new stages. Yes, it's not just a Chinese thing, but I think the Chinese hold the tradition with more favor. It's good. Something I didn't know. I was happy when I was looking at suits of armor. All of them kind of look cool to me, but the thought on like, how about a red one? And the red on black, I think looks really cool. So I like that it has kind of a story and reason as to why, rather than like, well, I don't know, pick one. I believe button mail is historically accurate for Japanese armor. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. I've looked at armor, but I don't know how much of it has been like reproduced or changed or made for museum, and armor certainly is my specialty, but it wouldn't surprise me if there's an element of butted armor, but also not. 70 HRC is not a thing. It'll be super brittle. Having one of him smashing one of his steels against an anvil with virtually no damage. I too, me want more smashing. But before I do, what's in the box? Okay. Here we got the pants. This isn't the pants, but part that cover your thighs. The assless chaps of samurai armor. Again, in looking at it, aesthetically, I like how it has a little bit of padding around it, and the leather feels good rather than like the grubbiest imitation leather. The silk isn't frayed or bad. It looks nice, and the metal work on here looks pretty decent. Nothing scratched or screwed up, which is good to see. I imagine that's just one little detail. And as I'm looking over this armor, like I'm looking at the ends of things for if they're painted or not, and all of the pieces anyway look pretty good. Though oddly, there's two on this one here, 2 plates instead of one, or at least I see it. Is it going to show up? Come on, focus. Don't focus on me. I'll hide from the camera. Maybe you can see it. Looks like there's 2 plates here. Anyway, 2 is better than 1. They're guarding my secret weak spot. right. So that is the lid of the box. Probably should have been counted first, which means this piece is top of the armor. Just the dough. There we go. All right. Well, you can kind of see a reflection of cameras there. But here we go. We will see. We'll see if I fit in it. It looks theoretically big enough for me to get in, but that will have to be another video. As it is, nothing is screwed up. Well, there's a little bit of stuff in here, but that might be from me opening it upside down. Yeah, minor scuff in the paint, which I can't tell. It doesn't look like it's a chip in the paint. I think it's just some schmutz on there that I got to wipe off. Yeah. Let's see. I'm not sure what's important on the armor, but it's rounded. I can spot rivets that don't appear to be assembling plates together, and I think it's made out of mild or sheet steel. There's no articulation in the main plate here. Shoulders appear to move a bit. It's one uniform thickness, the same kind of gauge steel all the way around too. I spot a little hinge on the side of the armor here with a pin. It's got a lot of clickety-clacking. Yeah, generally, all in all, like it's not, there's nothing that I've damaged, which I'm happy about because the box looked like it had been, rolled over and sat on a few times, and it was pretty heavy. And usually, heavily dense packed items tend to, haven't arrived in the best condition. Hence my Rick Barrett swords. They were also pretty well packed, but densely packed, and I think that might not have done them any favors. Anyway, overall, I think it looks cool. I'll have to try it on at some point, but probably will not be on this stream here. Now, where the hell was I? His work is mind-blowing, like discovering Rockstead for the first time. Who's Rockstead? Rocksteady and Bebop, Ninja Turtles. That was my toe and the box. Certainly can't sneak up on anyone. Nope. Not great for a samurai zombie apocalypse. There's a little bit of a keychain. You're going to draw some attention. Can you see links here? Or are they blocked? I don't know. Well, maybe they'll come through. The porn guys seem to find a way to spam them. Anyway, yes. So I believe that is the whole shoot match from Romance of Men. I've opened the armor. It has arrived unscathed. I can report to them that it is good. I'm sorry I didn't have better angles for you of the boxy, takey, outy stuff. Somebody might have been able to note I'm doing it upside down. And at some point, I will put this get up on, and what should I do in it? So when I do Katori, there's certain kinds of movements that you would do, but I don't know. It would be funny to see a guy doing samurai armor. Maybe I could do that. So long as it does not involve line dancing, because I don't mix comedy with my line dancing. Only mod can post links. How do the porn people do it all the time then? Anyway, I think at this point I've been streaming for an hour. I have successfully shown the swords and unboxed the armor. I feel like I've made a further mess in my already very messy house. But I'm probably going to wrap it up here. A Center's got some some knife stuff that hopefully is gonna be some fun stuff to watch afterwards. I appreciate Yes Katana and Romance of Men sending me samples. Supposedly, I will have something from Zisei and another thing from Yes Katana and some other stuff coming around that I'll be able to share in the not too distant future. But I'm going to stop streaming here and call it a night. Thanks everyone for joining. I hope it was fun. And hopefully I will have some videos out in the not too terribly distant future, though it's still going to be a minute. I did actually, before I go, want to touch on one thing. I've been, in the free time that I do have to do swordsmanship stuff, been playing with the Visor Iaito that was sent, and I like it. I suppose that's it. There's another sharp sword that's very similar to it that I can kind of contrast, and it's kind of neat to have an Iaito that's steel and a Shenken that's steel of very similar weights. And if they were the exact same model, but one was sharp and one was dull, that might be kind of fun. There's a notion around training with one sword and not having two different swords, you know, one for cutting and one for training. The purpose that I use that for is I don't always want to like move around a 3-pound sword. When I do lots of repetitions, I want something lighter for training. But if you want something in the middle for both, then you can practice and try to work on speed with a dull sword that's the same weight, and then you feel a lot more familiar with the sharp blade when you have it in hand. It's the same thing. So that's been kind of a notion that I'm exploring a little more deeply with Visor, because I happen to have two things that are very, very similar to each other. Anyway, I've been liking them. That's the short answer. And I think now they're Cloudhammer Forge or something like that. So anyway, thought I'd throw that in there. I am going to stop the stream there. Thanks again, everyone, for joining. Much appreciated. And I will hopefully be on with more rambles in the not too distant future. Cheers.